Chapter 3. The Shipmate and Raphael. Just after the skipper had finished his account, the recently rough shipmate, on entering the ship to pick up the mussels that he had collected in a hurry from the dry nocturnal seabed, skidded after an awkward step, falling full length on the round as if he had never been upright. The other shipmates started to laughing at him, saying, "He's still the old clumsy fellow." This annoyed the one sprawled out. But Raphael leapt over, quickly helping him to his feet, saying, "Do you see now why I remained standing? For my spirit somehow told me you would fall over today, and now you actually fell, and I, as the feeble mother's boy, picked you up fairly rapidly, I hope, restoring you to the rather awkward use of your feet." And the shipmate muttered into his rather thick beard, "Sure, very good. But lads like you often horse around, causing the likes of us trouble. Oh, I know stooged like that. You otherwise seem quite an honest lad, but a lad nonetheless, and that does it. Every lad has a bit of the buffoon in him, hence stay 3 paces off me." Says Raphael, "Friend, you are greatly mistaken in me, but I forgive you, since you don't know whom you are dealing with." Says the mariner, Now, one is bound to be much at age 15. Some prince from Rome or other place maybe? Or are you perhaps a bit of an almighty adherent of our dear Lord God?" Says Raphael, Quite, something like that. But go and get your mussels from the ship." The muttering shipmate enters the ship, returning in a few moments with a couple of mussels and 1 nautilus snail, showing them to us. The 3 pieces were most beautiful, but of no particular value, of course, and Raphael says to him, "They are good as souvenirs, but without worth. What are you going to do with them?" Says the shipmate, "Oh, mother's lad, this way you may catch sparrows, but not grey-haired sailors. You want to rid me of these pieces for nothing, but old Dismas is not as stupid as he may look. These 3 pieces cost 3 silver pieces, and shall not be given for a penny less. If you have the 3 pieces, then let's have them, and I let you have these 3 beautiful pieces." Says Raphael, "The 3 silver pieces would be the least, but that you want to sell something that, strictly speaking, is not your property, that I don't like. Behold, from old times, only the Gennesarethan townsfolk have enjoyed fishing rights in this bay, and none other than those to whom they are leased. You therefore collected these 3 mussels from Ebal's ground, in whose lease the waters are, and they are therefore his property, strictly speaking. If he makes you a present out of them, then they are yours, and you can treat them as your own property." Says Dismas, "My, just look at this mother's lad, speaking like a Roman judge. You'd be a nice judicial customer. You would barter my old coat off my body yet. The sea is everywhere the mariner's ground. Whatever the water yields to him, whether in the by or open sea, is exclusively his, and hence all your academic rights are knocked over. Because the likes of us also know our legal ways around a bit. Hence 3 silver pieces, and the 3 pieces are yours. Says Raphael, this won't do. As long as our Ebal does not declare them your property, I can't buy them off you. Here Dismas turns to Ebal, asking him what he thinks of the boy's assertion. Says Ebal, strictly speaking, our Raphael is correct, and I could indeed take these 3 pieces into possession. But I have never been or will be one to take advantage of such right, and so the 3 pieces are now physically yours. Spiritually, however, the entire earth belongs to the Lord anyway, and hence also those 3 muscles. Dismas is happy with such advice, asking Raphael, now how about the 3 silver pieces? Says Raphael, here they are, but give the 3 pieces to Ebal, who shall take care of them as testimonials of this time. Dismas takes the 3 silver pieces and lay the 3 pieces down before Ebal, who gives them to Jarrah, saying, here, take care of these, together with your other souvenirs. They shall be precious to us. Jarrah takes charge of the 3 pieces joyfully, saying, oh, these are exceptionally beautiful things. What kaleidoscope of colours! Verily, here one has to shout with Job. Oh, how glorious your works, O Lord! He who regards them shall not idly lust after them. Who taught the snail to build her beautiful house? Without beams or bricks, more brilliant than Solomon in all his kingly glory. After which she turns to Raphael, thanking him for this beautiful present, but asking him what had happened to the animals once occupying these beautiful houses. Says Raphael, my dearest Jarrah, the animals had already died several thousand years ago, and hence also decayed long since. But the housings can endure several thousand years without losing much of their form or beauty. Their materials are purest limestone, and this does not decay in its free state, especially under water. This much you may know for the present, whilst anything above that you shall once learn fundamentally in the beyond. Here Jarrah showed astonishment at such immense age. Chapter 4. Reception of the Pharisees at Gennesareth. And at that moment the news comes from the town that the several announced freshly baked Pharisees and scribes had arrived from Bethlehem, with a written and signed order from the temple to the citizens of Gennesareth to at once transport them to Nazareth and free of charge, or face dire consequences. Says Ebal, quite disarmed at such demands on the temple's part, Lord, this goes on year in and year out. You have been here only 5 days, and have already witnessed the 4th draft of these loafers, who roam the land hither and thither, invading and knocking every place about, worse than swarms of locusts. If this happened maybe 10 times per year, I could still put up with it. But to tolerate such draft 2, 3 to 4 times a week, and on top of that to give them every possible priority, would make even an angel lose patience, and a pauper into the bargain. What am I to do now? Verily, I gladly do everything I can for all the poor every day. But these rogues and true bullies of poor mankind, I'd like to wish every death and devil. Say I, Friend, let that be. You shall always get furthest with patience. Incidentally, leave that to our friend Julius. He is sure to move them on rapidly, after which they shall let such prerogatives sink in and gradually travel to Gennesareth area far less frequently. Says the captain to his deputy, Go quickly and take 20 men and head for the city. Explain to the impudent knaves that this place is under extensive military occupation and hence under blockade, and hence not accessible, unpunished to any person without specific permit, issued by a Roman commander. And should they enter, then they shall, after the appropriate punishment, have their eyes bandaged and their ears stopped off with mud and their hands and feet tied up, after which they shall be placed in a bark upon straw and then dispatched to a place determined, whereupon they shall be freed of all their hand, foot, eye, and ear fetters, and after sternest punitive threat against repeated entry of military areas without legal authority, thrust off manually by the respective Roman commander. If the Bethlehemites don't hold such authority, then proceed with them so without fear or favour. If they have money, then they can purchase themselves out of such punishment with 200 pounds of silver, but not out of the fourfold fetters. If, however, they either have no money or are unwilling to part with it, then, before the fettering, they are each to receive 15 lashes with the scourge upon their backs, stripped down to their loins. Dixi fiat. I have spoken, proceed. The Editor. With these words of the chief, the deputy hastens to town with 20 men, coming across 14 Pharisees and scribes at Ebal's house, just in process of cursing the domestics in every way for not being willing to fully attend to their most arrogant demands. In response to the deputy's demand for the permit, the impudent ones said, We are God's priests. Here is our temple insignia. And besides that, we need nothing in the whole wide world. Says the vice commander, This area is at present under permanent occupation. An imperial edict is in place prohibiting access to any stranger without exception, without the properly authorized permit. Ignorance of this statute absolves none. Since I see that you don't have such document, you are forthwith pay 200 pounds of silver, or, if you prefer it, each is to receive 15 strokes of the whip upon stripped back. This will be followed by the official fourfold Roman fetters and transportation to the place of your choice. This is to immediately proceed without the slightest objection, for every hesitation or defiant argument shall double the severity. On hearing such form of address, the Pharisees and scribes call Ebal's janitor and demand an immediate loan of 200 pounds silver. But the latter says, Since my Lord never called for you, why should he now pay for you? Lending you money is like throwing it into the sea. Haven't you got 14 loaded donkeys outside? Just lighten these animals' burden by 200 pounds, and you shall thereby save your backs from the sharp stripes of the whip. I'm not giving you a penny. On hearing such from Ebal's good and trusted janitor, they cut sour faces, betaking themselves outside in company of the dour escort of the deputy commander, to their beasts of burden, relieving same of 200 pounds silver overload. On taking charge for the money, the vice-chief has them put in the stated fetters, and then placed in a roomy bark, whereupon they are laid upon straw like cattle, and then transported by water to their desired destination, under escort of the entire vigilant company. The youthful Pharisees and scribes lament aplenty, without avail, of course. After 1 hour, the vice-commander rejoins us, telling us how he carried out the captain's order to the letter. The captain compliments him, asking where he had put the money. And the deputy says, "Sir, for the time being I handed it to Ebal's janitor for safekeeping. But from there on you can deal with the £200 as it pleases you." Says the captain, "Quite in order, and these fellows shall have occasion to remember our Gennesareth. Will they be coming through here, or are they heading the direction of the upper small inlet? Or will they perhaps take the passage above, the small estuary, isolated from there only by a narrow outcrop, but sufficiently deep and wide to carry a bark of some 30 men, without foundering in the mud?" Says the deputy, "I directed them towards the passage, in order not to create a bother on today's Jewish Sabbath." Says the captain, "Well and wisely done, again! You shall be promoted soon. This the Captain Julius is telling you. These shall remember Gennesareth and not return too soon."